We are going to go marching into the Democratic convention with enormous momentum. And I believe we'll come marching out with the Democratic nomination.
Bernie Sanders saying he will continue his campaign beyond Tuesday's primaries, including the big prize of California, where the senator is now in a dead heat with Hillary Clinton. And we're back now with the panel. So Ann is our reporter in the field until yesterday. What's your sense of what Sanders will do after California, and does it depend on whether or not he wins or loses there?
I think it changes slightly if he wins. If he wins California, he has a much stronger card to play to say, even though Hillary Clinton is likely to declare victory more or less on Tuesday, and she'll probably go over the top before California, whether with voting in New Jersey, and be able to say, I am now not only the Democratic nominee de facto, but the first woman to lead a major party in a national election. Even as she says that, Sanders will say and be telling his supporters to say, not so fast, because you don't actually have the full number of pledged delegates, and superdelegates could still change their mind between now and the convention. He'll make some case for them to do that. All of this is about leverage so that he can go into the convention and try to exact changes in policy, in platform, in procedure.
So bottom line, what does he want?
Everyone is asking that question. I think it's a combination of he wants some procedural changes to the way Democrats select their candidate. He seems to be making inroads on that. Elizabeth Warren said yesterday, I'm a superdelegate and I oppose the superdelegate system. I think he's getting through on that point. He also wants to remain as leader of a social justice movement that extends beyond this election. And I think he's making a case for that now. And he'll be able to make a very strong case for that, assuming he gets a platform speech in July.
Karl, how big a deal is this for Clinton? If on Tuesday night she clinches the nomination, she goes over the magic number of 83 delegates, how much does Sanders hurt her if he stays in the race until Philadelphia?
Well, she will. I agree with Ann. She will go over the top when New Jersey is reported at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, which is going to be interesting to see what happens in the 2 remaining hours of voting in California. Do the Clinton people say, well, she's got it, I'm staying home, and Bernie's people turn out? Or do Bernie's people say, well, we've lost it, and therefore my sense is Bernie's people turn out? Look, I think what matters here is not what he wants to get. It's what he doesn't want, what he wants to claim that he wants that he doesn't get. He wants to lead a movement to transform the Democratic Party. You don't do that by winning at this convention. He knows he's not going to win at this convention. So ask for things you know you cannot get in order to create a sense of resentment and longevity to this movement that he's got. And look, he's very clear about this. I want to transform America, and I needs to start by transforming the Democratic Party. So what's going to be interesting to me is how many points of friction is he going to choose in Philadelphia that he knows are not going to be accepted. Get rid of the superdelegates? Fine. Go ahead and try and do that. That ain't going to happen when you got 720 superdelegates sitting at the convention by the fact that they are superdelegates. Ask for platform things you're not going to get in order to give people a rallying point. We need to remember.
But you're saying the reverse of the Godfather. He wants to give them an offer they can, that they have to refuse.
That they have to refuse. Remember, this is a man. This is the first Democratic National Convention or Democratic convention of any sort he has ever attended. Every office that he has won, Mayor of Burlington, U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate, his abortive run for governor. In every one of those, he has either defeated or been defeated by a Democrat. So he doesn't care about the Democratic Party. He cares about the Democratic Socialist movement that he wants to leave in place to move that party to the left and hence move America to the left.
I want to turn to some other news this week, and that was that we learned the fact that someone unknown at the State Department scrubbed the video of an official briefing to delete an answer about the Iran nuclear deal. In February 2013, a spokesman denied there were any secret talks between the U.S. and Iran. But that December, when it turned out there had been talks, our James Rosen had this exchange with another spokesman, Jen Psaki.
Is it the policy of the State Department, where the preservation of the secrecy of secret negotiations is concerned, to lie in order to achieve that goal?
James, I think there are times where diplomacy needs privacy in order to progress. This is a good example of that.
Now, James discovered recently that that exchange had been deleted from the video record of the briefing. They keep a record of every briefing they do. The State Department's first explanation was it was because of a technical glitch. That's the word they use. But after some investigation, the State Department came out and said that someone, still unknown, had ordered that 8 minutes of that tape be deleted. Chuck, how big a deal?
Very big deal inside Washington. I would say lots of people across the board are upset at what this says about the credibility and the integrity of the State Department. John Kerry himself has said it's a big deal and whoever did it shouldn't be working for me anymore. There is a kind of formality to the State Department briefing. Anne's been to many of them. It is the official word of the U.S. government, and the idea that it could be tinkered with for some kind of still unknown political or diplomatic reason, that there's a memory hole at the State Department, is very disconcerting. I guess what we're left with, though, is an even bigger mystery. If this is such an outrage, even in the view of the Secretary of State himself, why can't they get to the bottom of it? If it all went on within the four walls of Foggy Bottom, it should be pretty simple to find out who made the phone calls and who pressed the buttons. And so far, Admiral Kirby from the podium has said, well,
he's the chief spokesman for Kerry.
Correct. He said, I've gotten this far with the investigation and no further, and we determined that although it was a terrible thing, it didn't violate any rules.
Case closed.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to stop it there.
Well, I want to pick up on that with you, Brit, because the State Department is saying that, you know, we've gotten as far as we can. We're going to basically stop and move, and what we're going to do is move forward. And there are congressional Republicans who are demanding more. They want some records, and they're also saying that the State Department's Inspector General should investigate. Your view, is this political, or is there a legitimate concern here?
It's political, and there's a legitimate concern.
Yes is the answer.
Yes, and yes. Chuck suggested there's an unknown purpose to the deletion. I think there is a known purpose. Basically, what Jen Psaki said was, by clear implication, that it is the policy, or at least the practice of the State Department at certain times, to lie if necessary to protect secret undertakings. Someone thought that ought not be on the official record, the historical record, and decided to delete it. Got caught. Now the person who was apparently got the request said, I don't remember who that was. Who asked me to do that? I don't believe that. I think this is something that their line of defense on this, that its case closed, will not hold. An investigation will go forward, and there's at least a good chance we'll find out who did it, and that person.
Now, we should point out that Jen Psaki has absolutely, flatly, categorically denied that she had anything to do with this.
That's true, and perhaps she didn't. However, she also went on to attack James Rosen personally for allegedly attacking her character. To my knowledge, and I've looked at what he has said about this, he never did that. So I don't know what she's talking about. And that raises a question about her credibility.
Karl, as someone who worked in government for 6 years in the White House, how does a State Department official come to call a technician and say, delete 8 minutes of an official video of a State Department, a public State Department briefing?
Well, I've thought about this. Either an idiot at the White House calls up the State Department and demands that it happens, or you fill the ranks of the State Department at the top with a bunch of political hacks whose interest is not in the representation of the United States record, but instead the protection of the Secretary of State. And look, I don't know who did what on this thing, but it is reminiscent of the Soviet era where you fell out of favor with Stalin. They erased you out of all of the official photographs. Chuck mentioned the memory hole. That's an allusion to 1984 Winston Smith in the Ministry of Truth, who took all those documents and shredded them in essence by removing them from the public record. And this is reprehensible, and they better be serious about finding out who did this and holding them responsible.
Do you think that they will be able to hold this line? Well, we're going to go forward. It wasn't.
They shouldn't be able to. They should be held to account for this. This is reprehensible and a destruction of the public record.
Thank you, panel. See you next Sunday.